I am 89 years old. I still know what day it is. I still know what year it is. I still remember the name of every student I taught in 34 years of third grade. Every single one. Now let me tell you why that should not be possible. My name is Mary Elaine Caldwell. I was born in 1936 in Harlan County, Kentucky. In 1987, I was 51 years old. A doctor sat me down and told me my brain was in trouble before my brain was even in trouble. He said my family history was concerning. He said cognitive decline was likely. He slid a pamphlet across the desk with words like irreversible and progressive printed in clean, professional fonts. He told me to prepare myself. I looked at that pamphlet. I looked at him, and I slid it right back. I said, Dr. Merritt, with all due respect, I have third graders to teach in the morning. Dr. Merritt retired in 2004. By 2019, he did not remember his own address. I still remember his. I'm going to tell you something that the Alzheimer's industry, and yes, it is an industry, does not want you sitting with too long. Up to 45% of dementia cases may be connected to lifestyle factors you can actually do something about. Not genetics, not luck, not a roll of the dice. Things you do every single morning before you pour your first cup of coffee. They have known this for years, and they keep burying it under pamphlets about irreversible and progressive. So let me tell you what I actually did, what I actually ate, and how I have kept this mind sharp for 89 years when the people around me were told and believed that losing it was just part of getting old. First thing you need to understand, your brain is made of fat, not kale, not a multivitamin, not whatever's in that $4 bottle of brain pills they are advertising between every YouTube video you watch. Fat. About 60% of your brain by dry weight is fat, and if you are not feeding it the right kind, it starts to lose its structure, the way a house loses its roof, quietly, slowly, until one day something falls through. I eat eggs every single morning. 2 whole eggs, sometimes 3, fried in butter in my mother's cast iron skillet, yolk and all. I have done this every day of my adult life. The yolk contains choline. Choline is what your brain uses to build acetylcholine, the chemical that carries thought from one part of your brain to another. It is the messenger. When acetylcholine drops, memory starts to go. When it drops far enough, they give it a name. They gave that name to a lot of people I knew. People who had been throwing away egg yolks for 30 years on a doctor's orders. You throw away the yolk, you throw away the messenger. You throw away the messenger, you lose the message. I don't care what the man in the lab coat told you. He's not 89. I am. Every single doctor who told me to stop eating whole eggs is gone. I am still here, still eating my eggs, still remembering their names. Second thing, fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel, the oily kind that smells like it came straight out of the water. I eat fish at least 3 times a week, and I have for as long as I can remember. Your brain needs omega-3 fats, specifically EPA and DHA. Without them, the connections between your brain cells start to inflame and fray. That inflammation, quiet, invisible, building for years, is what researchers now believe is at the root of most cognitive decline. And yet they were selling people vegetable oils, soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil. Do you know what those oils do when you heat them? They oxidize. They create inflammation in your arteries, your joints, and your brain. I have never cooked with vegetable oil in my life, not once. My grandmother used butter. My mother used lard. I use both. The fats that human beings have eaten for thousands of years, not the ones invented in a factory in 1911 and told us were heart healthy. Third, every morning I put a spoonful of real dark cacao powder in my coffee. Not the sweet kind in the little packets with the cartoon on the front, the real bitter kind, the kind that makes you flinch a little the first time. Real cacao contains compounds that help your body build new mitochondria inside your brain cells. That means your brain cells can rebuild their own energy supply. My grandmother called it medicine and drank it every morning of her life. Scientists in 2026 are finally starting to use that same word. Grandmothers have always been ahead of the research. The research just takes a while to catch up. Fourth, berries. Every single day. Blueberries, blackberries, whatever's in season. The darker the better. That deep color comes from compounds that protect your brain cells and reduce the inflammation that eats away at memory. In winter, I use what I froze from summer, a handful every morning without fail for more years than I can count, which is funny to say given what we're talking about. I can count them just fine. Fifth, and this one is simple enough that people always think I'm joking, I do not eat things that come out of a crinkly bag with a cartoon on them. I'm serious. Ultra-processed food, the crackers, the chips, the granola bars wrapped in 4 colors and 12 health claims, tears apart your gut lining. And when your gut is sick, your brain is sick. There's a direct nerve highway between your gut and your brain. Scientists call it the gut-brain axis. My grandmother called it, if your stomach is unhappy, you are unhappy. All of you, including your mind. She had no research to cite. She just paid attention. Now here's where I tell you something that surprises people. Food is only half of it. The habits are the other half, and the habits are free. I have never once stopped using my brain. Not when James died, not when Daniel died, not when grief made getting out of bed feel like lifting something impossibly heavy. Every morning, every single morning, I do something that requires my full attention. A crossword puzzle, a letter I write by hand to one of my grandchildren, a difficult book, a passage of scripture I try to memorize, something that makes my brain reach. Your brain is exactly like a muscle. When you stop asking it to work, the connections between neurons weaken. They literally dissolve. Use it or lose it is not something you put on a motivational poster. It is what happens inside your skull when you stop. I also sleep 8 hours every single night. I have gone to bed at 9 o'clock for 40 years, not because I'm old and tired, because I learned early what sleep actually is. When you sleep, your brain runs a cleaning cycle. It's called the glymphatic system. Your brain uses that time to flush out the waste that built up during the day. Toxic proteins, the same toxic proteins that researchers now find in the brains of people with Alzheimer's. If you don't sleep, your brain cannot clean itself. The waste stays. It builds up year after year after year, and then one day they put a name on it. Sleep is not laziness. Sleep is the only janitor your brain has. Let it do its job. I also walk every morning after breakfast. Not a marathon, not a fitness program with a monthly fee, just a walk outside, down the road and back. 20 minutes, sometimes 30. That walk increases blood flow to every part of your brain. It releases a substance that actually helps grow new brain cells. For years, they told us brain cells couldn't grow back. A Massachusetts general study published just last year confirmed that even moderate daily walking slows the buildup of the toxic proteins connected to Alzheimer's. They are confirming with million-dollar research what I have been doing for 60 years with a pair of shoes. Now, here is the part that nobody wants to talk about, because it is not about food and it is not about exercise and there is nothing to sell you. Bitterness destroys the brain. I have watched it happen too many times to call it coincidence. People who carried old anger for decades, old grudges, old resentments they watered every day like they were tending a garden. Chronic anger floods your body with stress hormones. Over years and years, those hormones damage the part of your brain that is responsible for memory and new learning. It does not show up in a scan at first. It shows up slowly, in words that slip away, in names that go blank, in a face that used to be familiar becoming a stranger. I have seen people eat perfectly, careful, clean, deliberate, and still decline fast because they never put down what they were carrying. I buried a woman named Loretta in 2011. Brilliant woman, school teacher like me, ate well, walked every day, but she had not spoken to her daughter in 19 years over something I cannot even remember now. Loretta remembered it. Loretta remembered it every day until the day she couldn't remember anything else. The last thing her mind held was the one thing she had refused to let go. I think about that. I have made peace with people who did not deserve my peace. Not for them, for myself. Not because what they did was fine, because I needed that space in my mind for something better. Bitterness takes up room your brain needs for everything else. If you are still watching, I want you to stop for just a moment. Think of the one thing you are still carrying, the one old wound you check on every few days just to make sure it still hurts. You do not have to resolve it today, but decide today that you are going to put it down. That decision may do more for your brain than any supplement on any shelf. And finally, purpose. I wake up every morning because something's waiting for me. A garden that needs tending, a letter that needs writing, a grandchild who calls on Tuesday and expects me to know exactly what is going on in her life. And I do, because I have been paying attention. People who retire from life, not from work, but from life, decline the fastest. I have watched it over and over. The brain needs a job, not a hobby, a job, something with stakes. Something that would go undone if you didn't show up. Give your brain a job and it will keep working. Take its job away and it will start to let itself go quiet. I'm going to say something important now. You are not too late. I do not care how old you are. I do not care what your family history says. Researchers have confirmed in 2025, in the largest lifestyle study ever conducted on dementia risk in America, that structured lifestyle habits improve cognition even in people who already show early signs of brain changes. Even then, you are not too late, but you are also not early. The damage that leads to memory loss builds slowly for years, sometimes decades, before you notice the first symptom. The time to start is not when you forget your keys. The time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. Eat your eggs. Eat your fish. Put the dark cacao in your coffee. Sleep 8 hours like it is medicine, because it is. Walk outside every morning. Use your brain every single day for something that makes it reach. Forgive someone, not because they deserve it, because you do. Find a reason to get out of bed tomorrow that has nothing to do with obligation. And for heaven's sake, stop eating things that come out of a crinkly bag. My name is Mary Elaine Caldwell. I am 89 years old, and I was told in 1987 that I should prepare myself. I prepared something else instead. I am still here, still sharp, still keeping score, and I still remember Dr. Merritt's name. I wonder sometimes if he still remembers 9. Leave one word in the comments if this reached you today. Just one word. Sharp. Type it so I know you heard me. And if you have a story, someone you watched decline, something you changed, a habit your grandparents had that you were bringing back, share it below. I read every single comment. Subscribe if you want more plain truth from someone who has already lived long enough to see what actually works. Thank you for listening. Now go fry your eggs and take a walk outside. My name is Mary Elaine Caldwell. I am 89 years old, and my mind is still mine.